together over the last probably, well, I'll let you tell me how long it's been. Been about 3 or 4 years since we first started, something like that. Is it on? You're a drummer, you don't use mics. No, okay, there we go. Okay. So tell me how this whole process got started, that you and I started getting together and I had the opportunity to invest at least a few things in your life.
Yeah, it's actually been probably closer to 5.
Oh, was it 5? Oh my goodness, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you were much younger then.
I know, right?
Yeah. Okay, so how did you get started? What happened? Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I think our process started way before it actually started, and it started the way everybody's story starts, is basically we're born.
Yeah.
And despite the best efforts of our parents to protect us, we go through life, we get hurt, we get wounded, we pick up baggage along the way. Maybe a parent said something as a joke, and being a kid you don't understand it, and so you take that as part of your identity. Or another example, maybe a parent said, or a teacher says something in school that just hurts.
You're stupid, or you'll never learn, or something.
Exactly. Or even as adults, people hurt us, sometimes unintentionally, and it creates wounds in us. And it's really easy to distract ourselves from that stuff and to ignore those things, push them down, and hide from them, and put on a happy face. And I was no different. I lived my life like any person, and I picked up hurts, I picked up wounds and baggage along the way, and I was fortunate enough to grow up in a Christian home, and I knew Jesus was pretty much my whole entire life, and he was in my heart. But growing up, it was like there was something missing, and there was a hole inside of me, and I felt incomplete. So before we actually started meeting, I was going through a stage in my life where I was lonely, I was depressed, hurting really badly. I felt like I wasn't good enough, to the point that there were times when I considered that maybe it would be better if I was dead. I started working way too much. That's when I started struggling with pornography. Wasn't taking care of my health. Was looking for other people and other things to make me feel valuable and to make me feel like I was worth something. And that continued for a while, until finally one day something snapped inside of me. And it was like, I cannot keep going like this.
Right.
Either I'm going to have a complete breakdown, or I'm going to end up dead. So I actually remember not knowing what else to do, complete desperation. I wrote a 30-second email, sent it off to you. You responded, and that kind of began the journey of you walking along beside me through the difficult and one of the lowest stages of my life. But that was the point with us mentoring where God really had me where he wanted me to be. And he began to work on me, and he began to really dig into my heart and replace all the pains and all the lies and all the things that I believed about myself that aren't true. And he began to replace it with his truths.
So we did meet every week on a scheduled time. It was kind of as your schedule out of my schedule, but we would spend some time together having coffee or meeting at the office or whatever. What are some of the lessons that you think you derived from that time that we spent together?
Well, we'll be here till midnight if I talk about everything. But definitely the most important one is that I learned that I am always learning, I'm always growing, I'm always going to make mistakes, and I will never be perfect. But now I understand that in spite of those things, in spite of the mistakes I made yesterday, in spite of the mistakes that I probably made today and I'm going to make tomorrow, Jesus has grace for me, and he loves me just as I am, and I don't have to do anything to earn that. I think one of the big lessons that I learned through that was you need to surround yourself with great people, and you cannot hide. Everybody wants the Facebook life, where we always look perfect. If you have a family, your kids are always perfect, and you're on vacation 11 months of the year.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
But the reality is that nobody has that.
It's true.
And hiding behind that is probably one of the most dangerous things you can do. And I know that if I didn't have great people around me, that I would definitely not be here today. so many awesome people around me, but I have people like my friends Trent and Talia. On the times when I couldn't be alone, I'd send a text, say I can't do this. 5 minutes later, get a text back, dinner's ready, your bed's made, we'll see you in 5 minutes, right? And for the times where, even with my mom, there were times where all I could do was cry. And she would be that shoulder for me to cry on. And then with our journey is, with you walking along beside me, you would call me out on my crap when I needed it, and you were there to encourage me to, number one, seek God, number two, fight for what was right, and to never give up, even on the days when all I wanted to do was quit. I needed people like that around me, and everybody needs someone like that. And I guess the third really big lesson is mentoring does not need to be complicated. I think sometimes when we talk about mentoring, people are like, oh man, I gotta sacrifice 10 goats, I gotta go feed 40 homeless people, and I have to fast for 14 days, and just keep praying, and then after that I can mentor with someone. But it doesn't need to be that complicated. With me and you, it was, if I was out of town or our schedules didn't align, it was an email.
We did by email. Some of that mentoring happened that way.
And it was, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And stuff like that. When we were in town, when I was in town or our schedules aligned, it was like you said, we'd go to Second Cup for an hour or two, just hang out and chat. And then using my wonderful mother as an example again, it was nothing really formal. It was she modeled to me. She modeled to me with her actions and with her words, and I just picked up on those things as I was growing and watching her. Or even, I love to read books. Something as simple as reading a book, taking something from that book, applying it to our lives. That could be being able to mentor with someone that you may never even have a chance to meet.
That's right. You can have, actually, it's interesting because obviously I wasn't the only one who mentored you, and I knew that. But there were other people that were part of your life, and some of them were people you have never met and will not meet through books or tapes or whatever, through online kind of stuff. What would you say is the most valuable thing about being part of a mentoring process? The most valuable. I know the probably would be many.
Yeah, that's true. I think probably the most valuable thing is everybody is guilty at some point in their lives of saying, I got this figured out, I know what I'm doing. Meanwhile, there's someone a little bit further down the line doing the old arm cross head shake, going, you're an idiot, and you're in for a world of pain. And it's not because they're so much smarter or they are so much wiser, it's because when they were that age or whatever, they were doing the exact same thing. Or if they're lucky, they saw someone they know go through that pain rather than having to go through it themselves.
Learned it from somebody else.
And so I think the most valuable thing about mentoring is if we are wise and we listen and apply, which is an important step, what our mentors have to say, it then makes you able to avoid many of the pitfalls and obstacles that may be between where you want to go. And sometimes we can't avoid those obstacles completely, but at least having a mentor there with us may make the pain worse or makes it easier to fight through those obstacles having someone supporting you.
Now, I think one of the most exciting things is the next question, which is what has come out of this process of not just me, but other people mentoring you? Where are things at right now for you?
I think that more important than what I'm doing as a result of mentoring with you is who I have become. Because who I've become is a reflection, or what I'm doing is a reflection of who I've become.
Good point.
And that would be a really good place to say amen, because that was really good.
Also, amen.
So what I'm doing is a reflection of who I've become.
Right.
And so three things I guess I'll mention. Through this process, I have begun to recognize that there is a huge disconnect between the generations inside of the church. And I'm not talking about this church specifically, but the whole church, the whole North American church, is because we were doing a terrible job of reaching the next generation at their level. The statistics that youth leaving the church is crazy, and that's why I'm glad you're talking about mentoring, because if the church could get that right, that statistic would be non-existent. I believe. So because I recognize that, I am now a person that's like, that is not okay. And I've asked God many times, with where I'm at now in this stage of my life, what part can I play to make a difference in that? And for right now, that place is here at home in this church with the next generation that's right under our noses. And so for the last year and a half about, I've been helping Pastor Matthew and Alicia just invest in and pour into the next generation that's here at home in our church. Also, I become a person that recognizes how, in our culture, how mainstream and how accepted pornography is, and the dangerous direction that's heading. And so it's just caused me to cut through all the garbage and just start having real conversations with other guys. And God's given me a heart for young guys, especially, I think the 15 to about 25 age bracket for guys is the generation that is the most under attack right now in our culture. And so God's really given me a heart for that. So I've just started having more real conversations, and I have right now I have about 4 or 5 guys that I contact every week, and just say, I'm always looking for more as well. So just say, how's it going? How's your week been? How can I help you and support you? How can I pray for you? And can you pray for me in this area?
Good.
And then finally, the biggest one, I think, like the most life-changing for me, was I become a person who gets my value and my self-worth not from a job, not from life circumstances, not from other people, but I get my value and I get my self-worth from my God. And it's from that place of confidence that I can then be a person that says, I am valuable, and I have value to give to other people. And from that, just over the last 3 months, I've been helping another friend and another mentor of mine run a financial education course.
Good.
Where 4 years ago, if he asked me, I would have said, no way, I'm not good enough to do that, I don't know anything.
Right.
But when he first approached me, I was like, yeah, I'm in, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
And then within the church, God really started putting small groups on my heart. And I first talked to you a couple years ago, and you're like, that's awesome, that's the direction our church is heading. I was like, sweet, let's go.
Yeah.
And it took some time because to get everything set up, but when you approached me and said, hey, we want you to be one of the, we want you to start a small group in the church. And I was like, before our mentoring process, I would have said, you got the wrong guy. I can't do that.
Yeah.
And as soon as you said that, I was the same. It was, let's go. I'm on it. And so I've been doing that. And then also in the confidence I get from God, 5 years ago, I would be up here.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, God's giving me a story to share.
Right.
And maybe He will use, I think God gives us stories because He wants us to share our stories, because He wants to help and heal someone else.
Yes.
And He wants to use us to do it.
Exactly.
And so that is the reason I'm up here is 5 years ago I wouldn't have done it, but today, because of our process, I'm up here saying, this is my story. Hate it or love it, whatever. I'm going to share it, and if it helps one person, then...
Which is really what mentoring is all about. 2 Timothy 2:2 is somebody passes it on to me, I pass it on to you, you now pass it on to the people, so you're fulfilling exactly what Timothy says. Thanks for sharing that tonight. Much appreciated. Give him that.